following his rise to prominence through iconic spaghetti westerns. The 1968 film Hang 'em High marked a significant shift as Clint Eastwood stepped into the Hollywood spotlight. Among the many thrilling elements planned for this movie, there was a stunt that stood apart for its ambition and danger, yet it never made it to the final cut. This stunt involved a high-risk sequence, where Eastwood's character would have been dramatically thrown from a galloping horse, while narrowly escaping a deadly trap. The scene was designed to showcase not only the physical prowess of the actor, but also to heighten the tension and realism of the film. However, due to safety concerns and technical challenges, the filmmakers decided to exclude it. This lost stunt remains a fascinating piece of cinematic lore, illustrating the lengths to which filmmakers were willing to go to capture the raw intensity of the Old West. It stands as a testament to the daring spirit of that era in filmmaking, where practical effects and real-life danger often blended to create unforgettable moments on screen. When it first came out in the spring of 1968, the movie was seen as a big letdown because many people compared it to Sergio Leone's famous Dollars trilogy, which had set a high bar for Western films. Audiences and critics at the time felt it didn't quite measure up to those stylish and gritty movies. However, as years passed, people began to look at the film differently. Its reputation grew much better over time, and it gained respect for its own qualities rather than just being judged against Leone's work. This change shows how opinions on movies can evolve as viewers and critics revisit them with fresh eyes and a new perspective. Clint Eastwood portrays Jed Cooper, a man mistakenly accused of cattle theft. As he drives a herd across the land, a posse confronts him, demanding to know who owns the cattle. Despite his earnest protests of innocence, the group refuses to listen. They decide to take justice into their own hands, hanging him from a tree and leaving him to die. This brutal act sets the stage for a story of survival and revenge, highlighting the harsh realities of frontier justice. The moment captures the tension between lawlessness and order in the Old West, showing how easily a man's fate can be determined by suspicion and violence. It also reflects on the dangers of mob rule and the importance of due process, as Jed Cooper's ordeal begins with a wrongful punishment that forces him to fight for his life and his name. After being wrongly hanged, Cooper is pulled back from the brink of death by a lawman played by Ben Johnson. This rescue sets the stage for his journey to clear his name. Once proven innocent, Cooper faces a choice between vengeance and justice. Judge Parker, portrayed by Pat Hingle, steps in and appoints Cooper as a deputy, urging him to uphold the law instead of seeking revenge. The judge emphasizes the importance of bringing the posse responsible for the hanging back alive, highlighting a commitment to fairness and order over personal vendettas. This direction shapes Cooper's path as he moves forward, balancing his desire for justice with the responsibility entrusted to him by Judge Parker. The movie was filmed at MGM Studios and on location at White Sands National Park in Las Cruces, New Mexico, providing a striking backdrop that added authenticity to the film's Western setting. Clint Eastwood performed nearly all of his own stunts, showcasing his dedication and adding a layer of realism to the action scenes. Though a few stunts were handled by others for safety reasons, the production process went smoothly for the most part, but tension arose between director Ted Post and producer Leonard Freeman. This conflict threatened to disrupt the filming, but Eastwood stepped in to calm the situation by firmly telling Freeman to stay off the set, allowing the work to continue without further interruptions. The combination of well-chosen locations, Eastwood's commitment to performing stunts, and his ability to manage behind-the-scenes conflicts contributed to the strong foundation of the film's production. Hang 'em High marked a significant turning point for Clint Eastwood, as it was the first film he produced after establishing Malpaso Productions with his partner, Freeman. This move transformed Malpaso from a small venture into a fully operational production company, signaling Eastwood's shift from actor to a more influential role behind the scenes. The collaboration with United Artists was crucial, as the studio agreed to distribute all of Malpaso's future projects, providing a stable platform for Eastwood's growing creative control. This partnership laid the foundation for many successful films, allowing Eastwood to shape his career and the types of stories he wanted to tell. The success of Hang 'em High helped solidify Malpaso's reputation and open doors for Eastwood to continue producing and starring in films that reflected his vision and style, making it a key moment in his professional journey. United Artists promoted Hang 'em High with a striking ad line that captured the film's tense atmosphere. "They made two mistakes, they hung the wrong man, and they didn't finish the job." This tagline immediately sets a tone of injustice and revenge, drawing viewers into a story of wrongful punishment and the quest for retribution. The visual style of the movie was shaped significantly by director Ted Post, who drew inspiration from Sergio Leone's distinctive filmmaking techniques. Post employed quick push-ins on faces, creating bold close-ups that heighten the emotional intensity and unsettle the viewer. These close-ups serve to focus attention on the characters' reactions and inner turmoil, making the audience feel the weight of the unfolding drama. This approach to visual storytelling enhances the gritty, suspenseful mood of the film, making every glance and expression a powerful part of the narrative. The combination of a memorable promotional tagline and a visually compelling style helped Hang 'em High stand out among westerns of its time, offering a fresh, gripping experience that keeps the viewer engaged throughout the story. The music in the film blends traditional Western sounds with hints of spaghetti Western style, giving the score a unique edge that sets it apart from typical Western soundtracks. This mixture adds a dramatic and sometimes eerie mood to the scenes, enhancing the tension and atmosphere throughout the movie. Alongside this distinctive music, the supporting cast plays a crucial role. Ed Begley delivers a strong performance as the villainous leader of the posse, bringing a sense of menace and intensity to his character. Bruce Dern appears as well, contributing his own presence to the story, while Pat Hingle portrays the hanging judge, adding an air of authority and complexity to the legal aspects of the plot. Together, the music and supporting actors enrich the film's texture, making it more engaging and memorable for viewers. Anger Stevens, who portrayed the beautiful lady in the film, became notably connected to Clint Eastwood during the production of Hang 'em High through an affair. This relationship added a layer of personal drama behind the scenes. Tragically, Stevens' life ended just 2 years later when she died of a drug overdose, marking a sad footnote to her involvement with the movie. Meanwhile, Dan Hale Jr., known for his role as the skipper on Gilligan's Island, took on a different kind of character in Hang 'em High, playing a villain who also served as the town's blacksmith. His role added complexity to the story, blending menace with a grounded, everyday occupation, which helped build the tension within the town's dynamics. Together, these actors contributed to the film's atmosphere, with Stevens' off-screen story casting a shadow, and Hale's portrayal enriching the narrative texture. Leonard Freeman was so impressed by James MacArthur's professionalism in Hang 'em High that he decided to cast him as Dano in Hawaii Five-O. MacArthur's performance in the movie clearly showcased his talent and reliability, making him a natural choice for the television role. Meanwhile, Bruce Dern praised Ben Johnson for executing what he called the greatest stunt ever in the film. Johnson rode at full speed, pulled out his knife, cut the noose around Clint Eastwood's neck, dismounted his horse, and caught Eastwood all in one seamless take. This daring stunt added a thrilling and memorable moment to the movie, highlighting the skill and bravery of the actors involved. Such moments contributed to the film's lasting impact and demonstrated the high level of craftsmanship behind Hang 'em High. Clint Eastwood agreed to star in the movie with a salary of $400,000, along with a share of 25% of the net earnings, giving him significant influence over the production process. This arrangement allowed Eastwood a level of creative control that was not common for actors at the time, reflecting his rising status in Hollywood. The film marked a key moment in his career, as it was his return to American westerns after spending years working on European projects. Over time, the movie has gained lasting popularity, and is appreciated more now than when it first came out. It stands as a testament to Eastwood's enduring appeal, and his ability to shape the Western genre in Hollywood. His involvement helped the film maintain its relevance, and contributed to the legacy he built as a major figure in the industry. Hang 'em High, the 1968 Western starring Clint Eastwood, occupies an intriguing space in the genre's landscape, eliciting a range of responses that highlight both its strengths and shortcomings. On one hand, the film is appreciated as a significant stepping stone in Eastwood's career, marking his transition from television and spaghetti westerns into a more prominent role in American cinema. His portrayal of Jed Cooper, a former lawman turned reluctant marshal, carries echoes of his iconic man with no-name persona, offering a stoic yet compelling lead performance. The supporting cast, including Inga Stevens, Pat Hingle, Ed Begley, Mark Leonard, and Dennis Hopper, adds depth and variety, contributing to a solid ensemble that enriches the narrative. Visually, the movie benefits from strong cinematography that captures vivid colors and well-designed sets, creating an immersive Western atmosphere. The soundtrack, while praised for its quality and suitability, has drawn some criticism for its disconnect with the on-screen action. Moments of high drama are sometimes underscored by music that feels disproportionate to the scene's actual intensity, which can disrupt the viewing experience. This points to a broader issue some viewers have with the film's pacing and storytelling. The narrative has been described as slow and, at times, confusing, with dialogue that feels overplayed and characters who lack distinctiveness. This lack of character depth and authenticity, including costumes that appear too modern and clean for the setting, can make it difficult for some audiences to fully engage. The film's portrayal of Jed Cooper's transformation, from a man nearly broken by a violent mob to a determined lawman seeking justice, is seen by some as underdeveloped or inconsistent. While the arc aims to show growth and resilience, the execution leaves certain viewers unconvinced of the character's evolution into a true badass figure. This contrasts with the more dynamic and gritty characterizations found in Eastwood's earlier spaghetti westerns, which some fans recommend over Hang 'em High for a more thrilling and authentic Western experience. In summary, Hang 'em High stands as a film that offers a mix of classic Western elements and solid performances, particularly from Eastwood and his supporting cast, alongside some notable flaws in pacing, character development, and atmospheric authenticity. It may not fully satisfy those seeking the raw edge of the spaghetti westerns or a tightly woven storyline, but it remains a noteworthy entry in the genre for its historical context and certain cinematic qualities. Whether it ranks as a classic or a disappointment largely depends on individual expectations and preferences within the Western tradition. As the dust settles on the gripping tale of justice and revenge in Hang 'em High, the story doesn't end here. Behind the intense standoffs and rugged landscapes, the cast brought something unforgettable to the screen. But what became of these actors after the camera stopped rolling? In this bonus segment, we dive into the surprising paths their careers took, uncovering some unexpected turns and fascinating stories. From breakout roles that defined their futures to moments that changed their lives forever, you'll discover the real-life drama that followed this iconic film. Stay with us as we reveal the secrets behind the faces you thought you knew, and explore how their journeys continue to echo through Hollywood history. James Westerfield's role as the prisoner in the 1968 film Hang 'em High was brief but impactful, embodying the bleak fate awaiting those caught in the harsh justice of the Old West. His portrayal added a layer of grim reality to the film's atmosphere, reflecting the desperation and vulnerability of men trapped by circumstance. Westerfield's career, however, was marked by a steady presence in character roles rather than leading parts. After Hang 'em High, he continued to appear in various films and television shows, but his trajectory was shadowed by personal struggles. Known for his intense dedication to his craft, Westerfield faced challenges, including bouts of depression and financial instability, which often went unnoticed behind his calm screen persona. His private life remained largely out of the public eye, but whispers of a troubled marriage and health issues circulated quietly. The last known details of Westerfield's life suggest he withdrew from acting in the late 1970s, choosing a life away from the spotlight. Despite the scarcity of information, his work remains a testament to the often unheralded character actors who shaped the texture of classic cinema. Charles McGraw's portrayal of Sheriff Ray Calhoun in the 1968 film Hang 'em High marked a significant moment in his career, embodying a tough, no-nonsense lawman navigating the brutal realities of frontier justice. His performance was marked by a gritty intensity that reflected a man hardened by experience, yet bound by a strict code of honor. This role highlighted McGraw's ability to convey complex, often conflicted characters with a stoic presence that resonated with audiences. Following Hang 'em High, McGraw's career continued with a steady stream of roles, mostly in film noir and Western genres, where his deep voice and rugged looks made him a natural fit for tough guy parts. However, his life off-screen was far from smooth. McGraw faced personal struggles, including battles with alcoholism, which at times threatened to derail his career. Despite these hardships, he maintained a professional dedication to his craft, earning respect within the industry. There were whispers of conflicts on set and strained relationships with some colleagues, though no major scandals defined his public image. His personal life was marked by a degree of mystery, with little public information about his family or private affairs, adding to the enigmatic aura he carried both on and off camera. In his later years, McGraw's appearances dwindled, and he retreated from the public eye. The last known details suggest he lived quietly, away from the spotlight, until his death in 1980. His legacy remains tied to the dark, brooding characters he brought to life, including the memorable Sheriff Ray Calhoun. L.Q. Jones portrayed the role of Loomis in the 1968 film Hang 'em High, with a quiet but menacing presence that added depth to the film's grim atmosphere. His character was a subtle force, embodying the harsh realities of frontier justice without overt dramatics, which showcased Jones' skill in conveying menace through minimalism. After this role, Jones's career expanded beyond acting into directing and producing, often working within the Western genre that defined much of his legacy. His life, however, was marked by struggles that contrasted with his on-screen toughness. Known for his reclusive nature, Jones faced personal hardships, including battles with health issues and the isolation that came with his niche career. Despite these challenges, he maintained a steady presence in Hollywood, respected for his integrity and professionalism. There are no widely reported scandals tied to him, but his quiet withdrawal from the spotlight in later years added a layer of mystery around his personal life. The last known information places him living away from public view, with little media attention, leaving the final chapters of his life veiled in privacy and reflective silence. Inger Stevens portrayed Rachel Warren in the 1968 film Hang 'em High, delivering a performance marked by quiet strength and an undercurrent of vulnerability. Her role, though not the film's centerpiece, added depth to the narrative through a subtle emotional resonance that contrasted with the film's harsh justice themes. Stevens' portrayal was noted for its restraint and nuance, fitting the somber tone of the Western genre while hinting at a complex inner life. After Hang 'em High, Stevens' career faced turbulence. Once a rising star in the 1950s and early 1960s, she struggled with typecasting and personal demons. Despite critical acclaim in television and film, her work became sporadic. Her private life was marred by struggles with depression and rumored substance abuse, casting a shadow over her professional achievements. Stevens' relationships were often troubled, and she faced persistent rumors about her sexuality and personal struggles, which at the time were taboo and contributed to her isolation. Her death in 1970 at age 35 remains shrouded in mystery and speculation. Officially ruled a suicide by carbon monoxide poisoning, some have questioned the circumstances, suggesting the possibility of accidental death or other darker factors. This tragic end froze her story in a haunting silence, leaving behind a legacy of talent overshadowed by unresolved questions. The last known details of her life paint a portrait of a gifted actress caught in a web of personal hardship and Hollywood's unforgiving glare. Larry J. Blake's role as a prisoner in the 1968 film Hang 'em High was brief yet impactful, embodying the grim reality of confinement within the harsh compound setting. His portrayal added a layer of tension and despair, highlighting the oppressive atmosphere that surrounded the central characters. Beyond this role, Blake's career was marked by steady work in film and television, often cast in supporting roles that leveraged his rugged presence and intense gaze. His life off-screen was shadowed by struggles, including battles with alcoholism that intermittently stalled his career and strained personal relationships. Despite these hardships, Blake remained a dedicated actor, known for his resilience and commitment to his craft. Reports suggest he faced financial difficulties later in life, a common plight among character actors of his era. The last available information indicates he lived quietly away from the spotlight, with no public records of significant activity or interviews in his final years. His story remains one of talent shadowed by personal demons, a figure who contributed quietly but meaningfully to classic American cinema. Dennis Hopper's portrayal of the Prophet in the 1968 film Hang 'em High marked a brief but intense moment in his career, showcasing his ability to embody unsettling and enigmatic characters. The Prophet was a shadowy figure, a man whose presence carried a sense of menace and unpredictability, reflecting Hopper's knack for channeling dark, volatile energy. This role came during a period when Hopper was beginning to cement his reputation as a countercultural icon, blending his acting with his interests in art and film direction. After Hang 'em High, Hopper's life became a turbulent mix of creative brilliance and personal chaos. His career soared with Easy Rider in 1969, a film he co-wrote and directed, which became a landmark of American cinema. Yet, beneath the success lay struggles with substance abuse and erratic behavior that often threatened to derail his work and relationships. Hopper's life was marked by brushes with the law and multiple stints in rehab, reflecting a man wrestling with inner demons as fiercely as with his artistic ambitions. His marriages and personal relationships were fraught with conflict, adding layers to his public persona as a troubled genius. Despite these hardships, Hopper continued to work prolifically, taking on roles that often mirrored his own complexity and darkness. His late career saw a resurgence with films like Blue Velvet and Speed, proving his enduring appeal and versatility. In his final years, Hopper battled prostate cancer, a struggle he faced with the same raw intensity that defined his life and work. He passed away in 2010, leaving behind a legacy as one of Hollywood's most enigmatic figures, whose life was as compelling and unpredictable as the characters he portrayed. Ben Johnson's portrayal of Marshal Dave Bliss in the 1968 film Hang 'em High was marked by a quiet, authoritative presence that lent the character a grounded realism amidst the film's tension. Johnson, a former rodeo cowboy turned actor, brought authenticity to the role, embodying a lawman hardened by the harsh realities of the Old West. Following this role, Johnson's career was a mix of steady work in westerns and character parts, but it was not without its shadows. His off-screen life was marked by struggles with alcoholism, which at times threatened to derail his career. Despite these personal battles, Johnson earned critical acclaim, including an Academy Award for his role in The Last Picture Show in 1971. However, his life was not free from controversy. Rumors of clashes with co-stars and directors occasionally surfaced, hinting at a man both fiercely dedicated and difficult. Tenant later years saw Johnson retreat somewhat from the spotlight, battling health issues linked to his earlier lifestyle. The last known reports suggest he lived a quiet life away from Hollywood's glare, his legacy a complex mix of rugged talent and personal hardship. Ed Begley's portrayal of Captain Wilson in the 1968 film Hang 'em High brought a quiet intensity to the role, embodying a lawman caught between justice and the harsh realities of frontier life. His performance was marked by a restrained yet commanding presence, capturing the moral ambiguity and tension that defined the character. After the film, Begley's career continued steadily, though he never reached leading man status. Known for his work in both film and television, he often played supporting roles that highlighted his ability to convey complex emotions with subtlety. Beyond his professional life, Begley faced personal hardships, including struggles with health issues that affected his later years. He was also known for his reclusive nature, rarely stepping into the public eye outside of his acting commitments. Despite these challenges, he maintained a dedicated following among fans who appreciated the depth he brought to his roles. The last known information about Ed Begley indicates he lived a private life away from the spotlight, leaving behind a legacy of memorable performances that continue to resonate with audiences. Bruce Dern's portrayal of Miller in the 1968 film Hang 'em High is a chilling embodiment of menace cloaked in quiet menace. His character, a cold and relentless figure, adds a layer of tension that underscores the film's grim narrative. Dern's performance is marked by a subtle intensity, revealing a man shaped by harsh realities and inner darkness. After this role, Dern's career continued with a mix of critical acclaim and personal turmoil. Known for playing complex, often troubled characters, he earned Oscar nominations for Coming Home and The Straight Story, showcasing his range and depth. Behind the scenes, Dern faced significant challenges, including struggles with mental health and a tumultuous family life. His marriage to actress Diane Ladd was both passionate and fraught, marked by periods of separation and reconciliation. Despite these hardships, Dern remained dedicated to his craft, often choosing roles that reflected his own battles with identity and morality. In recent years, Dern has maintained a lower public profile, focusing on selective projects and family. His resilience in the face of personal and professional obstacles paints a portrait of a man both haunted and driven. The last known updates place him quietly continuing his work in film, a figure whose legacy is as enigmatic as the roles he inhabits. James MacArthur's portrayal of the preacher in the 1968 film Hang 'em High stands out for its quiet intensity and moral complexity. His character, a man caught between law and vengeance, carries a brooding presence that adds depth to the film's harsh landscape. MacArthur's restrained performance brings a subtle tension, revealing a man shaped by hardship, yet driven by a strict sense of justice. After this role, MacArthur's career shifted primarily to television, notably starring in the detective series Hawaii Five-0, where he gained widespread recognition. Despite professional success, his life was marked by personal struggles, including battles with alcoholism and the pressure of living in the shadow of his famous mother, actress Helen Hayes. These challenges added a layer of darkness to his off-screen life, often kept from public view. His later years saw fewer roles, and he retreated from the spotlight, living quietly until his death in 2004. The last known information paints a picture of a man who, despite fame and talent, wrestled with inner demons and the weight of legacy. Michael Lembeck's role as the store clerk in the 1968 film Hang 'em High was brief, but notable for its understated presence, reflecting the gritty realism of the Western setting. His character, though minor, contributed to the tense atmosphere that defined the film's portrayal of frontier justice. Following this appearance, Lembeck transitioned from acting to a more prominent career in directing and producing, showing a sharp shift from on-screen roles to behind-the-camera influence. His directing credits include popular television comedies and family films, where he gained respect for his comedic timing and ability to manage ensemble casts. Despite professional success, Lembeck's personal life remained relatively private, with no widely reported scandals or public hardships. This discretion has kept his off-screen life largely out of the spotlight, fostering an air of mystery around him. The most recent public information suggests he has stepped back from active Hollywood involvement, living quietly away from the industry's glare. His legacy remains tied to both his early acting roots and his substantial contributions to television direction. Clint Eastwood's portrayal of Marshal Jed Cooper in Hang 'em High marked a significant shift in his career, embodying a man who rises from near death to enforce justice in a lawless land. The role highlighted Eastwood's ability to blend toughness with a quiet, brooding intensity, setting the tone for many of his later characters. After this film, Eastwood's career expanded beyond acting into directing and producing, where he found even greater acclaim. His work on films like Unforgiven and $1 Million Baby earned him multiple Academy Awards, showcasing his depth and command behind the camera. However, Eastwood's life was not without controversy. He faced public scrutiny over his relationships and political views, often sparking debate. Personal hardships included the challenge of balancing a demanding career with a complex private life, including several high-profile relationships and children born out of wedlock. Despite these challenges, Eastwood maintained a low public profile in later years, focusing on his work and personal interests. The last known updates reveal him living quietly in California, occasionally stepping into the public eye for film projects or political endorsements, a figure as enigmatic as the roles he once played. Pat Hingle's portrayal of Judge Fenton in the 1968 film Hang 'em High stands out as a quietly commanding presence, embodying the cold authority and moral ambiguity of frontier justice. His measured delivery and stoic demeanor added a layer of tension to the film's portrayal of law and order, making Judge Fenton a figure both respected and feared. Beyond this role, Hingle's career was marked by a steady stream of character parts that showcased his ability to inhabit complex, often troubled men. His life was shadowed by a near-fatal accident on a film set in 1975, when a stunt went wrong, leaving him with serious injuries that took years to recover from. This incident cast a long shadow over his later career, but also revealed his resilience and dedication to acting. Hingle's personal life remained largely private, with no public scandals, but he faced the quiet struggles of health issues and the challenges of aging in Hollywood. The last known information about him before his passing in 2009 reflects a man who, despite setbacks, maintained a respected position in the industry, leaving behind a legacy of nuanced performances. Bob Steele's portrayal of Jenkins in the 1968 film Hang 'em High was a brief but memorable presence, marked by a quiet intensity that contrasted with the film's more prominent characters. Jenkins was a figure shrouded in ambiguity, a man whose motives and loyalties were never fully clear, adding a layer of tension beneath the surface action. Steele's performance drew on his long history in westerns, bringing authenticity and a weathered edge to the role. After Hang 'em High, Steele's career slowed considerably. Once a prolific actor in the 1930s and 40s, known for his rugged cowboy roles, he faced the harsh realities of aging in Hollywood, where parts for older Western stars became scarce. His personal life was marked by struggles with alcoholism and financial instability, which shadowed his later years. Despite these hardships, Steele maintained a quiet dignity, rarely speaking publicly about his difficulties. One of the darker chapters in his life involved a near-fatal car accident in the early 1970s, which left him with lasting injuries and forced a retreat from public life. Rumors circulated about his involvement in disputes over unpaid debts and strained relationships with former colleagues, but Steele remained largely silent, cultivating an air of mystery. The last known information places Bob Steele living a reclusive life in Arizona during the late 1970s. He passed away in 1988, leaving behind a legacy wrapped in the dust and shadows of the Old West he so often portrayed. His life, marked by early fame and late obscurity, reflects the unforgiving nature of Hollywood's spotlight and the fading echoes of a bygone era. Alan Hale Jr.'s portrayal of Matt Stone in the 1968 film Hang 'em High marked a rare departure from his usual roles, showcasing a darker, more intense side of his acting range. As Matt Stone, Hale embodied a character caught in the brutal justice and moral ambiguity of the Old West, delivering a performance that was both gritty and restrained. This role stood out amid his more familiar, lighter television work, hinting at depths often overlooked by his fans. Following Hang 'em High, Hale's career shifted predominantly to television, where he found iconic fame as the skipper on Gilligan's Island. Yet, beneath the surface of this cheerful persona, his life was far from simple. He struggled with a typecasting that limited his opportunities, and his personal life was marked by bouts of loneliness and health challenges. Reports from those close to him revealed a man wrestling with the pressures of fame and the shadows of his past, including the early death of his father, which deeply affected him. Despite these hardships, Hale maintained a steady presence in entertainment, with occasional guest appearances and voice work. In his later years, he retreated from the public eye, battling heart issues that eventually led to his death in 1990. The last known accounts describe him as a man who, while remembered for his jovial screen roles, harbored a complex, often somber inner world shaped by loss and resilience. His legacy remains a blend of light-hearted charm and the quiet endurance of a life lived under the weight of both spotlight and solitude. Jonathan Goldsmith's role as Tommy in the 1968 film Hang 'em High marked a subtle yet significant point in his acting journey. Though Tommy was not a leading character, Goldsmith brought a quiet intensity that hinted at the depth he would later reveal in his work. After this role, his career unfolded with a mix of steady television appearances and film parts, often cast in tough or authoritative roles. However, his life off-screen was far from smooth. Financial struggles plagued him for years, and he faced personal hardships, including a public battle with alcoholism, which he eventually overcame. Goldsmith's story is one of resilience. He found renewed fame decades later as the most interesting man in the world in a popular advertising campaign, a role that contrasted sharply with his earlier, grimmer characters. Despite this resurgence, he kept a low profile, shying away from the Hollywood spotlight. The last known information places him living quietly, away from public life, maintaining a mysterious aura that suits the darker chapters of his past. Hang 'em High remains a powerful reminder of the grit and determination that defined the careers of its cast, especially Clint Eastwood, who faced early doubts about his ability to lead a major Hollywood film. The movie marked a turning point, blending classic Western themes with a modern edge that resonated with audiences then, and still does today. Many of the actors, like Inga Stevens and Pat Hingle, carried on with diverse roles, facing personal and professional challenges, including Stevens' untimely death and Hingle's recovery from a serious accident during filming years later. This film holds a special place in the memories of those who grew up watching it on late-night TV or in theaters, capturing a time when Westerns were a staple of American cinema. Did you watch Hang 'em High as a kid? What memories or stories does it bring back for you? Share your experiences in the comments below. We'd love to hear how this classic touched your